Grand rising, grand evening, grand afternoon, depending on where you're at. This beautiful planet, this amazing universe. Welcome to Brown and Spiritual AF, right? Today we got a topic that I don't even know about yet. And this is how we like to do things. Mrs. Seller was like, hey, Mark, do you want to know or do you want to be surprised? And I was like, surprise me, right? And because this is how I like to roll, because then I would have to get into my head and start thinking of all kinds of things I'm going to bring up. But I like to be on like a freestyle, basically. You know what I mean? But before we get to the topic, I like to thank everybody for tuning in and joining in on along this journey that we've been on for the last 2 years, I believe it is. Holy smoker bobbles, right? So Miss Isela, can you let people know what it is that you're working on right now, what that you got going business-wise? Because I'm pretty sure I would love to hear this.
Yeah, so I just launched my own podcast called Love Being Isela Garcia. Now, because you're just starting and getting to get followers, if you just put Love Being on Spotify, it actually doesn't show up. So you have to put Love Being Isela Garcia. And one day I realized, I'm like, oh shit, that kind of sounds a little pretentious. Like Love Being Isela Garcia. That's not what it is. And you have to go to my podcast so I can tell you what love being actually means. But I just launched my first episode. My second one, I'm really being pulled to talk about our soul contracts with our children, because we kind of fuck up our understanding of what our responsibility is to our children.
Kind of?
Yeah, in terms of our soul's growth.
Yeah.
And so that's my episode number 2 is going to be about our relationship with our children. And I'm creating a workbook. Initially, it was like a guide, but it's actually being pages and pages long on mastering the art of forgiveness from a spiritual guided perspective. And so why is forgiveness important? How to forgive, the steps to kind of move you through the process of ultimately letting go of all of the things that are keeping you stuck. Because when you don't want to forgive someone, that is hurting you. That's not hurting them. So it's a guide that you'll be able to download for free. And I'm hoping, because the more and more I work on it, the longer it gets, because I'm breaking it down into very simple sorts of steps. And I may even add some QR codes in there so that I might explain a few things via video. So I'm hoping to create this kind of integrative experience for anyone who really, really wants to commit to forgiving people who have harmed them somehow in their lives. So those are the 2 big things I'm working on right now.
Wow, forgiveness is a big one. I'm excited. I need to go and find your first episode. So you might need to send that to me because I love to listen. If you ever get a chance to just listen to Missy Stella speak and share her knowledge and wisdom, it's been amazing, especially if you tuned in to our other episodes, right? It's really great. I'm so blessed to be on this journey alongside her, right? So for me, what I got going on right now is me and another partner that I got, another business partner. Her name is Miss Elise Alexander. We had her on our podcast, right? She's a mindset and wealth business coach. And so what we did is she's always noticed that I talk about movies a lot and how I utilize movies to really get the lessons, right? And to learn from other people and through these characters that get developed in movies, right? So what we decided to do is create a movie book club, right?
Oh, wow.
So what this movie book club does is it allows people to tap into their emotions, right? It allows them to be activated through other characters, and then we help them integrate these emotions that arise, right? So we're using entertainment that's already created, right? And repurposing it for not only entertainment, but for personal transformation, for growth, right? And so what we do is we watch the movie together. We watch the first half and the second half of the movie, right? And then we sit there and we have a discussion because everybody, even though we're watching the same movie, we're living in a very similar life. We see things through different lenses. So when you could have a discussion around that through the purpose of intention of up leveling, let me tell you, it's been really amazing what we could come up with. So that's what we're working on at this moment, right?
Can I tell you why that works? Can I tell you from a brain perspective why that works? So I'm a storyteller, okay, which is what you're describing, right? Somebody else's experience, somebody else's stories. Why storytelling works is because our ego, our intellectual self, when somebody starts to tell you information that doesn't resonate with you within seconds, what happens is your ego goes, nope, 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 that's not true. That's not true. That's not my experience. And so, and then that happens within the first couple seconds that somebody starts talking, right? They're like, no, no, we don't vibe. I don't agree with you. And so ego's trying to find, this is called confirmation bias. It's rejecting all the things that doesn't resonate with you. And it picks out the things that does resonate, that feels good, feels right. Okay. But in storytelling, you bypass that experience because the ego kind of relaxes and the ego kind of goes, oh, it's just a story. It's not really important. And so what happens is when you watch any kind of movie or even when you're listening to something, and if it's in a storyline fashion, it bypasses the part of us that's critical, that's going yay or nay. Our reticular activating system does this too, where it's like always working like, is this a dangerous situation? Is it right? Is it wrong? Does it go with my beliefs? And it's all happening at an unconscious level. So when you do a story, they're like, okay, I'm going to just kind of, hang out here while you listen to the story. So it's cool because you're tapping into a part of people where they can be a little more vulnerable. And then you break it down into, okay, what was your emotional experience? So it's actually a pretty, it's a pretty genius way to approach emotional learning and developing your emotional self.
You know what? And see, this is why I love being in the room or on the internet with Missy Seller, right? Because I had no idea that's what was happening. I just know that this shit was working for me. Right. And I talked about it so much. And then I had a partner that reached out and said, hey, check this out. I hear you talking about this. Why don't we bring this to the world this way? Right. And it's like, you know what? That's what's amazing about co-collaborations. Like when Missy Selip said, hey, why don't we start a podcast? You know how to do that? I'm like, no, fuck it. Let's just go for it. Right. So, yeah, this is how ideas start, people. And this is how you move forward. And then you just get into motion. Right. Player plus motion creates miracles. So, yeah. So, all right, Missy Selip, now that we got that out of the way, right, I'm excited to hear what is today's topic going to revolve around. Okay.
So a couple days ago, I posted on my personal Facebook page and my Instagram a video that said, if you were given the opportunity to get a life map at the age of 18, given what you have experienced in your life thus far, would you have taken it? Now, let me tell you what a life map would have been, okay? So let's just say that this just highlighted the significant decisions in your life. And we all know that every decision has a domino effect, right? And so we've all had crossroads where we go, do I do this or do I do this? Should I do this or should I do that? If you were given a life map that said, do this, not that, and this will lead to this, without all of the details, without the people who are going to come into your life, but to help you guide so that you can land in a place of success, so that you can land in a place of happiness, and maybe all the things that people are striving to experience in this lifetime. Would you have taken it? Now, it's not enough. You can't pick parts of it. Okay. So you can't go, oh, if I had it between this age or maybe these big things, it's all or nothing. Would you have taken it?
Knowing what I know now,
right,
would I have taken this map? I think I would still like to just figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think I would take the map. I would think I'd say, hey, check this out. It's almost like predestination, kind of, in a sense. And to me, that's kind of what I'm hearing. I think I would say, no map. I just want to figure this out. I think that's what I would do at that age, because knowing what I know now, because I know things change. Right? Things, different synchronicities, different people come along for the reason and where you're at right then and there for your growth. So I would say no. Knowing what I know now, I would not take that life map.
What about when you were 18?
Knowing what I know now at 18?
No.
Oh.
What about when you were 18?
Okay. See, I think I misunderstood the question.
No. That was a good answer.
Oh, okay.
That was a good answer. Knowing what you know now is an important part of this journey, right?
Yeah.
But if you were 18... and let's say the heavens opened up one day, and let's just say, because we're so stuck in how we experience Earth and these experiences, sometimes it's hard for us to think beyond that. But let's just say that we're in a dystopian, experience. The earth opens up, and this is just what happens. Okay. So you hit 18 years of age, earth opens up, a light shines through, and this guide is presented to you right there at 18. Would you take it? Would you have taken it? What do you think?
I think because where my mindset was at that age, I would be totally freaked out, and I probably would. I'd be like, "This is the shit that you see in movies, right? Like, this is like amazing. This is an angel. It came to me." Like, I think I probably would, most likely. You know what I mean? Because the way I was conditioned and to believe the stories that I've seen, especially like once again through movies, right, through the cartoons that I was watching, I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, this motherfucker's gonna make me a superhero, and I can know things. I could just even have a better chance at doing life right." Whatever right is, right? So yes, I think at 18, like being who I was at 18, fuck yeah, I would have took that. I would have took that deal.
It's an interesting thing to think about. I think it really is. It's not like it could be a very superficial question,
Yeah.
but if you really think about this, so let's kind of unpack this a little bit. At 18, a lot of folks, where are we at this developmental stage in our life, right? At the very beginning. And what plays a part of this is how we grew up. Do we see life and life experiences as safe? Do we see them as opportunities? Or do we see that we have to grind and we have to hustle, or else, and you have to work hard, or else you're not going to accomplish shit? Because by the time we're 18, we already, by the people who surround us, have a belief about what life's about. And so that perspective shapes us. It shapes how we move forward. It shapes the decisions we make, the opportunities that are presented to us. And I have to tell you that our cultural experiences play a part of that as well. It's like there are people with privilege who see and have a different experience of life, and off the bat are like, "Oh, I have all of this planned out already. I have all this. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get my master's degree. I'm going to get married. I'm going to, my parents are going to give me $20,000 to put a down payment on a house." That experience is different than the way like I grew up, where it's like, you better go to college or else you're not going to accomplish shit in life, and you're going to struggle your whole life. Like that was the messages I got, which is very different than other people. Right? So at 18, I think all of those experiences are going to influence that decision. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely, right? Because somebody, one, that heavens opened up and something came down. Well, that's probably going to scare the shit out of me for one, right?
Oh, what if it was normal? But what
if it was normal? Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is what my grandma warned me about. Like, don't take me to hell, please. You know what I mean? Like, I would try to trick this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, how do I know you're not trying to get? How do I know I'm not selling my soul to you? Right?
Right. Yeah.
I would have been trying to ask different questions, right? However, I totally would have been like, wow, this is fucking magical and this is biblical in that sense, right? Because those are the only terms I could really speak in. It wasn't really spiritual for me at that moment. You know what I mean? Because of my upbringing, because of watching The Exorcist, because of watching like movies like that. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's a great question.
It is, because I think a lot of us are looking for, and I say us as the collective us, okay? A lot of us are looking for a quick fix to healing. We're looking for a quick way. And, I've done this too, where I'm like, yeah, just tell me what I need to do so I can, let go of this shit. Just give me the answers. Do I need to pray? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to, what do I need to do? Right?
Yeah.
And what happens is often a spiritual bypass is folks go right over all the stuff that our experiences of life have created within us, right? If you've got abandonment issues, if you've got, relationship trauma, if you've got attachment concerns that actually happen in the first few years in life, all of those things can't be dismissed. And what happens in the spiritual community is folks want to, leap over all of that. And this is what we call spiritual bypass. And so it's like everything happens for a reason. God is good. It's like, God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. Like all these things that we've embraced as ways to dismiss the shadows that show up in our relationships, our engagement, even in our private time with ourselves, where we're just trying to be with ourselves. It's like that all, like doing that doesn't actually release the stuff that keeps us stuck, but we want to fast track it. And that's what that—
put it in the microwave.
Right. We want to fast track it. And sometimes we have to just sit and be willing to unpack the shit. So I'm going to ask a second part of this question, because you said when you're 18, and I've thought about this a lot for myself, like at 18, would I have taken that book? And I don't know for sure, because I think there would be a little bit of fear for me of the, like, maybe it's going to tell me something like I'm going to die at 25, or I'm going to, like, I'd be afraid to know my fate. And I didn't want that to be in my head, right?
I didn't even think about that. That didn't even cross my brain.
Right?
It's crazy how we're two different.
And so then the other part of me was like, I was so desperate to have a different experience of life. And I was on my own at 18. I was completely on my own, and I was going to college and had to figure out how to pay for it. And I had a scholarship and I needed a place to live. And I was just like, I just had to figure out like how to buy food, And so I think about how desperate I was to feel better too, because not only were my circumstances hard, but I was in a deep, dark depression around that time. I was what I called I was, how like a person who's like an alcoholic functions in the world. So we call these functional alcoholics, and then you don't know that they actually had an alcoholic. But I was a functional depressed person. So I went out, I functioned in the world, and then I would sleep all weekend,
Wow.
And so it's like that darkness that I felt. Would I, in desperation, said, help me get out of this, right? But this is all planned out, when you're on the other side, and it's like your gift to yourself. So, but then we said, knowing what we know now. So knowing what you know now, what were the significant experiences that you would have missed out on had you taken that book?
Oh, wow. One, I really don't know, because I don't know what would have been in that book. But if it was meant to make sure that I did all the right things, be at the right spot at the right time, and basically just won all the fucking time, like how do you know what it's like to lose if you're always winning all the time? You don't get any better because it just shows up, right? I heard something the other day, right? And it says, when we tell people you're fine just the way you are, right? But they're in a place where they're not fine.
Yeah.
That's fucked up thing to tell somebody, because if they were fine, just how they are, they wouldn't ever want to get better. You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of not allowing them to grow and think outside the box. That hit me hard, because I used to hear a lot of people tell me all the time, you're fine the way you are. It's like, but why do I feel so shitty all the time? Maybe I'm not fine the way I am. Maybe I need to change a little bit, right? So I would have missed out on, right, learning basic skills like business. I would have never started my own drug business, right? Right?
Wait. I know where you're going with this, but that's funny. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I would have never have learned to talk to women, right? I just wouldn't. I would have not had learned through treating them bad how to treat them right. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things that I had to go through, right? I would have missed out, right? This is a story that I'm putting together right now. Like, I was a pretty good kid, right? But I did things that got me in trouble, right? I had to learn on my own, right? And my mom allowed me to learn on my own. But if I didn't listen, if I just paid attention and just did everything right the whole way, right now, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Brown and Spiritual AF will not be happening, because I would not have those experiences to talk about. So I would have missed out on all those growth opportunities. You know what I mean? And I'd be a totally different person. And I'd feel like I wouldn't be able to serve the world as much as I can right now, because of those experiences that made me in the dark brought me to the light now, right? And so, like I said, the drug dealing, the treating women crazily, and then not taking care of my health, I would have never had those opportunities to let those deteriorate in order to regain them. Because now, because I was able to rebuttal, I could show people what's possible when you used to be over here and how much you were suffering till you could go to thriving, right? So I think those are the significant points in my life that I would have missed out on.
I think it's an interesting experience because we can't have an understanding of peace unless we experience war.
Ooh, yeah.
Because if we had peace all the time, we wouldn't understand conflict, and there wasn't a desire to move beyond the conflict. Does that make sense? Like, that's the way that we learn in this human form. And so without the struggle, it's hard for us to move into a better place without the struggle, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that sometimes we get stuck in the story of the struggle. So, you know, how many times have I said, ay, mija, así es la vida, you know, that's just such is life, you know? That's the way it is. You just fucking, you know, struggle your whole life and die, you know? So some people, and I think that where you and I are at, Mark, in our spiritual awareness and development, like, this is something we have intentionally put in motion. This didn't magically happen. The healing process is a very painful experience for most of us. We signed up for this shit. We came here because this is soul school. And we came here with the intention to develop a deeper understanding of what it is to feel. And a lot of folks numb out. You know, they drink, they get on social media, stay on social media, and we distract ourselves from our emotional state. So we stay in this numb place. And on top of that, we have this perspective that life is out to get us, or life is not this experience of life is not a good thing. So we get stuck with old shit, you know, like the story that happened when I was 18, and the time that I, you know, was violated at 21, and the time that, and those horrible things happen. And I don't want to dismiss that. We can unpack our shit. We all have really horrible things that have happened to us. And it's also a choice for us to allow that to continue to take up our mind space, our heart space, our energy. And, you know, if you understand how the universe works, that energy and what you're putting out there of the pain that you're holding on to, all that does is attract more pain. And so our journey of intentionally deciding to read shit, to go to workshops, to learn self-reflection. And there comes a point where all of that stuff then becomes really not important anymore because you start to tap into your inner wisdom. But that journey is a decision that we make. And both you and I could be still stuck in the place of all the people who harmed us, all the bad decisions we've made, all of the things that didn't go right, and there was a domino effect that maybe hurt others. We could still be stuck in that place. And a lot of people are. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts about that?
You know, I like that you say, like, the domino effect of really the people that we hurt too, right? The people that I've hurt in my life, I could still be stuck on that, beating myself up, you know, because I could think of a few. I just had a conversation with my brother a couple of weeks ago, right? I was drinking, of course, right? And but we've been having great conversations without the drinking getting involved. I don't drink a lot, but I said some things in the past that have stuck with me, and I never got to apologize for them, right? And we had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, check this out. You might not remember this, but one time we were XYZ and I said this. And he was like, I really don't remember. I was like, I know you don't remember, but I remember. I never got to say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was in the wrong for saying this shit, because no matter how upset or how angry I was, those types of words, you didn't deserve to hear me say that. Yeah. Right. And the same thing happened with my pops. Right. Like a few weeks ago, once again, It was just late at night. I just happened to call. I think I said this on our last one, but I just reached out and said, "Hey, Pops, I know you probably don't remember a lot of this stuff, but this is what I said to you this one time, and X, Y, Z." And he was like, "You know what, son? I love you no matter what. Did it hurt? Probably at the time." He goes, "But I forget about it, and I just forgive you because you're my son." I was like, "Well, I just had to tell you because I wasn't sure if you remembered, but this is what I said, but I don't really feel that way." So those are all opportunities that I would have missed out on if I would have took this book at 18. You see?
Yeah, but
Because
that's what I'm going to stop you right there because you said something really important. These were opportunities. And that's the shift. That's a critical, pivotal shift. Is that so often when we're stuck in the place of life fucking sucks and bad things keep happening to me, we see our faults and our failures as that, faults and failures. Even when you fast forward a lifetime, you did all this shit and the decisions you could have, should have made. And here you are at 50 and here you are at 60, and you're still thinking about the old decisions that you could have, should have made as something that you regret. And so that energy of remorse and regret and guilt and shame has a vibration to it and has a frequency to it. And if I think more folks understood that the more you are in that space of that heaviness, the more you're going to see experiences in your life show up to match that.
Ooh, that brings me to this idea because I just cleared out my friend space recently really well. And some of them were difficult to let go because I had these ideas. I see people's potentials, right? I see who they really are as a being and what they could become in this form, right? And I latch onto that, and that allows me to get pushed aside sometimes, right? And I've done this with family and friends for the longest time, but this time around, I gave opportunities way too much. And then I noticed, and I had to set that boundary, right? And even though it was hard because some of these people I do love on a soul level, I'm not here to save them. So I had to say, hey, check this out. You're really this is because I could feel these people's heaviness. And when I engage with them, their heaviness comes onto me. And I think I'm strong enough to really carry them to the finish line. And I said, fuck that. I got to be out. I love you, but just like that. And then those people, some of them, they want to say, like, why are you upset with me? And it's like, well, if you were paying attention to the conversations we were having leading up to this, you could see that I was really open about how I felt. You didn't take that serious enough, right? And I'm not willing to invest more energy and time into this situation, right? When you can't even comprehend the things that I'm talking about on this basic level. Now, you are where you are, and I don't hate you for that. But for where I'm going, I'm not willing to take extra baggage, right? And those are things that I learned because of prior scenarios. Mm-hmm. So now I'm able to evolve faster and cut ties quicker.
Yeah.
Right? And those are due to this evolutionary process and being grateful for those opportunities and experience that I had back here.
Yeah. When you can shift that lens and go, okay, what's the lesson here for me? Because if you step back from your life and you look at your relationships or the people that you have in your life or that you've come across over the course of your many years, you can start to see a pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Start to see a pattern. And what you're describing is like you're finally saying, you know what, here's a boundary that I am not okay with crossing anymore or allowing others to cross. And what people have a really hard time with is that sometimes this is family. And it's okay for us to establish a firm boundary that doesn't permit people to treat us in a way that's disrespectful. And I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care if you're someone's mom. I don't care if you're a dad. I don't care who it is. You have the power to say enough's enough. And this is not okay because this actually is unhealthy for me. And in order for me to heal, I have to establish this boundary that's firm. And I can still love you at the same time. That's where people get all screwy. They're like, if I set a boundary, that means I don't love them anymore, because the way that you expressed love was fucking toxic. Ooh. It wasn't a true expression of love. And that's where we get stuck. So if we go, here's my boundary, and I can still love you, but the way that we are going to express love with one another has to be different. And if I no longer have a relationship with you, and I'm going to give my mom, I haven't seen her in like 30 years. And there's a firm boundary, but she also disowned me. So that made that boundary very easy for me.
It made it way easier. She did it on her own.
But for me, I now, with all the healing that I've done and the forgiveness that I've done, and recognizing that this journey is simply life school. It's for me to evolve as a soul and to tap into who I truly am. And so that experience, God, I have so much gratitude for that. Like, I am thankful for all the abuse and all the horrible experiences that I had in the home, of her dismissing me at a very young age. I was just out of my teenage years, of no longer speaking to me. Like, I am so thankful, because had I been in that experience with her through my adulthood, I would not have had the space to heal. So to look at a shitty experience, I want everyone who's watching this is your task. I want you to identify the shitty experience that you had. And we've all had them. No one gets off free. No one gets a free pass. And people show up and you think that they've had the best life and this and that. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. So think of a shitty experience that's happened to you, and can you find the reason to see it as an opportunity for you? What was the opportunity for you in terms of your growth?
Whew, this is going to be a heavy one for people, right? This is going to be a heavy one and a hard pill to really swallow for a majority that are unaware of what we are actually saying here, what we're speaking here. And it might activate you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, because looking at past experience, for me to look right now into this camera and said, hey, the few people that I've dropped in this last couple of weeks, I am grateful that you didn't see me. I'm grateful that you didn't hear me. I'm grateful for the opportunity you gave me to feel these emotions that allowed me to let go way sooner now than I would have in the past. Because with this level of awareness, I was able to elevate to another level and still love you from a distance, right? Yeah. Most people would say, wow, that's a fucked up friend. These are some shitty people. Well, when they're looking at these things from a different perspective, from an angel's eye view, if you believe in angels, or a God's eye view, if you believe in those, or an extraterrestrial eye view, if you believe in that shit, star people, well, then you can see the bigger picture, that these processes were put in place in order for your elevation, right? So, this is what we're talking about, people.
Yeah, so that's actually part of the forgiveness process as well. It's to look at, and I don't want to dismiss the pain that you've experienced. It's not saying that it wasn't a horrible, horrible thing. And I'm also not telling you that you're condoning it or letting the person do not take responsibility. What I'm saying is, you continue to be trapped in this prison that is only that you have created. You have made the walls. You have created this prison. So you get to choose how you're going to perceive and experience. And you have to, if you really want to release it, it's to change the perspective and go, okay, thank you for this experience, because it provides me the opportunity to set some boundaries, to speak my truth, to find love for myself. There's so many, experiences that could be true for you, but you have to be willing to unpack that. And it starts as a headspace experience. It starts with, very very analytical approach to looking at something that happened to you, but it has to move into the heart space where you feel thankful and you feel gratitude for having lived that experience and moved beyond that.
Sounds so simple. Like, can I get a pamphlet? Hey, where's my angel right now? Can you give me a pamphlet right now that shows me this so I can take this deal right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, and when I think about this and I go back to, because we're only taking in consideration us in this equation, right? Which is amazing, because back then we allowed others blockages, we allowed others heaviness to really influence how we moved on this planet through this journey in this lifetime, right? And to not allow others people's blockages, others people's hurtness, other people's emotions, right? Not to allow their toxic cycles to influence us and bring us down, but utilize their blockages by getting the hint, right? By getting the clues that are there that says, hey, it's time to step up, because these people and their cycles actually teach us something. They're part of our evolutionary process. So being thankful and grateful, and then forgiving them, right? Because some of these people probably did some real horrible things. And once again, we're not condoning it. We're not saying that it was okay and that the pain didn't really fucking hurt, but it's the ability to bounce back from these setbacks,
And
right?
thrive.
And thrive.
Because a lot of people, they go, oh yeah, that's in the past. I hear that. Oh yeah, that's in the past. That already happened. I moved past it.
Did you? Did you?
Really?
Because I can see your face right now. You feel a little some way, right?
Right. So it's not just surviving a shitty thing. It's not only surviving, it's thriving. It's to take that as a way to pivot in your life and go, I'm going to choose something new, and I'm going to choose something different. And I am going to move beyond the state of being a victim into creating a different experience of life. And that really, when I go back to my 18-year-old self, I didn't have the words at the time, but that's what I wanted desperately. I wanted to, and I actually wrote that. I wrote a list of things that I wanted to accomplish in my life, and I had it hanging in my bathroom. And one of them was not be like my mom. Mm-hmm. And the next one was change my life. And so I desperately wanted to have a different experience of life. And I want to shift a little bit, because this reminds me of why, in Buddhism, there is a goal, I guess, lack of a better word, is to live without attachment. And a lot of people with non-attachment, a lot of people are like, that just means you don't love your family and love the people around you. And so I want to break it down, because that really helped me be able to experience all of the things that's happening in this world and still know the truth of who I am. So when we live from attachment, we are so attached to things and people. We define ourselves by the relationships we have, and define ourselves by our accomplishments, by the homes we live in, by the cars we live in. We are full attached. And without those things, we lose the sense of our journey, who we are.
Who we think we are.
Yep. The next one is to be detached, where we're just kind of like, fuck it.
You don't exist to me, ever.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who live in the state of detachment have a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt. We all do, but pretty significant, because it's hard to even engage with others in a way that's loving and positive and nurturing, because they didn't get that. And that's what we see a lot of, is people who think they're living in an attached space, but they're actually very detached from everyone. These are the walls. These are not showing up for life with zest and passion. Now, living with non-attachment means that you are all in 100%, but you are not attached to the outcome. So when you're attached, full attachment, you're attached to everything. These are, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this car, I'm going to get this degree, I'm going to, whatever it is that those goals are, we're so attached to the journey and the outcome. When we move to non-attachment, that means, yes, I am 100%. I am all in. I'm playing the game. The opportunities present themselves and I'm going to step into them. I live with zest. I live with passion. I am true to who I am, and I don't know where that's going to take me. And I don't need to know, because the universe has got my back. And so when I look back at my life experiences, and even when I look into the future, I go, thank you for every fucking time I struggled. The times where I felt so much pain, it was difficult even to get out of bed. Like, thank you for all of those experiences, because it brought me to this moment where now I can let go of the fear of the future. The fear of what might happen, what's to come. I just got to live full on. Step into every experience with zest and love and passion and commitment. And the universe has my back. I don't have to worry.
Ooh, they don't have to worry. So like attachment, right, is being attached to the outcome. So if I do this, I get that. And then this could be actually really destructive to most people that are not emotionally intelligent, right? Yeah. Because when they don't get what they sought out, it brings the morale down. Like, fuck, I failed, right? Not seeing that the process was really amazing and it's still a win because it's a learning, versus being non-attached, right? And going through life saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create brown and spiritual AF, and we're gonna see where it goes, right? And then still to be continue along this journey, not knowing where it's taking us, but it's brought us here to this moment, right? Now, most people might be, if they were attached to like, we only got like 20 views on each video, but over 2 years, and as for us, we're just like, fuck, we're still just going and doing it, right? Because this is what we love to do. We're all in through our growth, and this is helping us grow through the process and allowing us to talk about the things that we're grateful for happening to us. Like when I was 18 years old and I got stabbed, right? I'm grateful for that because it opened up my eyes. I could have died that night, right? I didn't take it that seriously at that moment, but when I look back, that was a very shitty situation. And I hated those motherfuckers for a long time, but guess what? Now I can sit here and say, hey, thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for you and your blocks and your emotions, for not caring about life and doing the things that you do because you were scared. I was scared at the same time, but it taught me a lesson and it helped me change my life around, which I'm able to have this conversation today and be like, hey, you know what? I have nothing but love for those people and I hope they're doing well. I hope they learn what it was they were supposed to learn and they're elevated to the next level too, because when they have to think about what they did that day, I don't want them to be sad or fucking allow it to bring them down. I want them to say, holy shit, look how far I've come. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I hope that boy out there that I probably didn't even know when I took that fucking glass bottle, broke it over his head and I stabbed him with it. I hope he's doing all right. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is funny, but it's not. No,
it's funny, but it's not funny, right? Yeah. So let's kind of go there a little bit. One of the things that I had to do, not had to do, I had the opportunity to do.
There we go.
I had the opportunity to do. So it's real easy for us to extend love to people who we have a loving relationship with, or that we're fond of, or that we hold in high regard. And one of the practices that I've done over the course of my many years, because folks, I'm 50, so many years, is that I would hold those people who I had negative experiences with, whatever that looks like. Okay, whatever that looks like in your life. It could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be your ex-husband, your ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, it could be anybody, your children. And what I would do is just sit and imagine them in my mind's eye. So I would like put my mother in front of me. I would put the friends that I've had that just, it either fizzled out or something just icky happened in our relationship that didn't go well, or maybe I got stabbed in the back. You know, it's like all the things that could happen, right? And if I had a sense of animosity towards them, still, this was telling me that I hadn't forgiven. And so what I do is I put them in my mind's eye and I extend well wishes, all financial freedom,
Ooh.
right? The house of their dreams, the car of the dreams, the success in life. Like, even when I'm saying that, some people might be feeling something, some type of way, because if those are the things that you aspire for and you hope to accomplish and the things that you want, and you're saying, I wish these upon you, person who hurt me in lots of different ways, that can be hard.
Fuck yeah. What do you say to these people right now? Like, fuck that motherfucker. Fuck that bitch over there. You know what I mean?
You might
Yeah,
not
fuck
forgive
them.
it.
I hope they fucking you gotta think about this, people. When you wish harm upon
Right.
others, right? You
Right.
gotta think about this. It's like when you start getting aware, your words and your thoughts are really powerful. Like, because we want to do that. Like, we want to think, no, fuck that bitch. She did this shit to me, right? She did this to me. No, and she didn't do it to you, did it for you.
Yeah.
Right. This motherfucker over here did that shit for me, because if I didn't get stabbed, I would have continued to been walling out and allow me to move smarter as a gangster drug dealer. Right. Okay. Gangster wannabe, because you know what I mean? Real gangsters really do crazy shit. And I ain't going to talk about that stuff because a lot of things I did on my own and people will never know. Right. But what I'm saying is, like, this shit is you don't have to do this. You really don't have to do this, people.
Right.
You get to do this to free you from your emotional prison, from your physical prison, from your mental prison, from your spiritual fucking prison. You get to do this.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Fuck yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. Like, I had a nemesis in high school. This is what I started with.
Fucking, yeah, we were like, you were a superhero and you had a nemesis.
In high school. And weird thing. I mean, this was years ago. But she friended me on Facebook, and because she liked my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. Oh my God. So we had lots of run-ins. It was bad. Like, her group of friends called my mom and pretended to be the photo studio, because I had gone to prom with my boyfriend, who is my husband now. But what happened? So he's black, and a white friend who was a boy picked me up at my mom's
I
house.
remember this, country. I remember this.
And so he picked me up and we took pictures and everything. And then he drove me around the corner to my tia's house, where my boyfriend was waiting for me.
Look at these sneaky fuckers, right? We know, people. We had to be sneaky. Survival.
Right. And so that experience, right? I think about that. And so we took pictures, and this girl who liked him, and he ended up with me and not her, they called my mom and said, oh, her retake of her pictures, or the order of her pictures, or whatever. And how the fuck you put in black boyfriend in that conversation, I have no idea. But
because kids are stupid.
They kept trying to sabotage our relationship in lots of different ways, and that was one of the ways. And so when I first learned how to do this, and I was working on forgiveness, I couldn't do my mom yet. Like, I couldn't forgive her yet. Like, I was getting there, but I knew she was somebody who made my life pretty miserable my senior year of high school. And it was already hard hiding a boyfriend. And then on top of that, having, these, I call these bitches, trying to make my life worse. Yes. Right. And so I really held on to this anger. And like, when she friended me on Facebook, I'm like, girl, we're not friends. We are not friends. Because I was still in that place, right? And I had aged. I was still in that place. And I'm like, you know what? I need to start with her. And so I put her in my heart, and I put her in my headspace, and I just imagined her living the most perfect life. And fuck, in the beginning, that is hard, because you think this is something that we experience, where we think if they accomplish their best life, somehow it takes it away from me.
Oh, right. There's not enough to go around, is what
Yeah.
motherfuckers think. You guys think that there's not enough. Like, if I have more, that means you get less. And if you have more, that means there's not enough for me. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Can
Yeah.
you imagine that scenario? Like, you were able to pull that off back then because there was no cell phones, there was no way of proving anything. But today, if you were trying to get away with that, motherfuckers are everywhere. They would have just sent the picture to your mom, like, look what this liar is doing, right? She's over
Right.
here, right? That's so fucking funny. So
Yeah.
these
So
fucking
that,
bitches really try to sabotage you.
oh yeah, and it made it worse. It was already hard and it made it worse.
Yeah.
And it, as I got older, even though I went on with life, when I thought about her when she showed up on Facebook, when that happened, I still had that unresolved anger, that resentment that, even when you mature and you get older, you still hold on to that old shit. So I had to imagine her having her best life experience and allowing that to be an okay thing for me. That maybe if I didn't accomplish all the things that I wanted or whatever, and she did, that was okay.
Damn. So what I'm hearing is, people, don't focus on getting revenge or getting even. Focus on getting better, right? And praying for better for them. That's going to go a lot more way. That's going to go way further than trying to focus on getting even, right? Nobody wins when you get even. Everybody wins when you focus on getting better, right?
And I think energetically, what happens too is when we come from that place of resentment or, anger and anger really comes down to fear. I mean, everything rooted that doesn't feel at peace, joy, and love is rooted in fear. And so what happens is energetically, you're just simply you're calling upon yourself the very thing that you don't want to have anymore.
Well,
And so that's why it's critical for me to release all of those old stories and to see them as opportunities, right? To see them
yeah.
as opportunities for me to practice this and to let go of that. So energetically, I can be in a place where I can attract the things that align with the truth of who I am.
So in the basic terms, people, right? We're going to make this simple for you that are not super duper aware, right? And understanding what we're saying here. Your thoughts, your ideas, and your words are like boomerangs, right? You throw it out there and that shit comes back and hits you in the face. Now, the type of thought that you put out there determines the type of boomerang that comes back, right? And instead of it hitting you, if it was a nice thought, you have an opportunity to see it coming and you could catch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Your thoughts, the words are boomerangs, people. Be careful. Be aware of how you utilize them because they will come back, right? Whew.
And instead of when something happens, because remember I said, when you look back, you can look at the patterns. You can see patterns that keep showing up in your life. And so instead of when you notice it, when you start to notice, that's the first step, is noticing. So when you start to notice, instead of being in a reactive place of doing the old thing that you've always done, you have to be self-aware and go, oh, that's showing up again for me. So stepping back and going, oh, right now is the opportunity where I can choose something different. And that's where the healing happens. That's where that doesn't happen overnight, by the way. I know I'm sounding like it's a simplistic way to do things. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice of becoming aware of how you're feeling and what your emotional state is. And so once you can practice that process, as things happen in your life, you can grow an awareness of it showing up and then you can choose to see this as an opportunity or to go, see, this shit always happens. There it goes again. I'm in a bad relationship again. I'm in a bad situation again. Okay. It's stepping back and go, oh, I noticed this. This happened with this situation. I get to choose something different now.
Yes. And to give people like a kind of a timeline, right? So I've been on this journey since 2015, right? However, that was just my physical journey. I didn't start my spiritual journey until 2017, right? However, I didn't start my emotional journey until 2020, right? And here we are 3 years later from that. And I am still, I think my emotional state has been the most difficult to really integrate. And I'm not even halfway there.
Right.
Right. And we're talking 3 years of work, deep work. Right. And it's like, shit, let me tell you, sometimes I want to give up. I just want to say, fuck it, it's not worth it. Let's go back to being over there because that got the results that I wanted. But it didn't really get the results that I wanted. It got the results that I thought I wanted because this is what these mother lovers showed me over here. Right. So it's not easy. It's going to take a lot of time depending on what effort you're willing to put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say to the listeners and our viewers, think about a situation in your life, okay? A person. And if you can't start with that person, start with somebody that, like I did, my high school nemesis. A story that you're holding on to. It could be an old boss, right? It could be a coworker. Yep. There are people that we've had just a not so great interaction with, and lots of those can kind of culminate into an icky feeling about somebody. So just start with somebody who didn't hurt you or harm you significantly. And when you just, and I call this quiet contemplation, not necessarily meditation, but in quiet contemplation, just sit quietly with yourself. Imagine this person sitting in front of you or in your mind's eye, whichever is most convenient for you. And I want you to just imagine extending them love and saying to them, I wish you well. I hope that you have all of the financial freedom. I hope that you have the living arrangements that you want, that you desire. Like, just start wishing them well and just practice this process. I know Mark's like, fuck that. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, I got thoughts in my head. I can close my eyes and all I see is like, fuck you. You know what I mean? But no, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, if that's what you have to do in the beginning at first, as long as you forgive them and let that shit go, because your mind is powerful. And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really that difficult. But take the same person and keep practicing with that one over and over and over, and tell you that animosity or that feeling, that emotion, that rage doesn't come up for you anymore. And it works. Trust me, I do another form of this. And Missy Seller, what she's saying is true. And I love the way she's able to explain how and why it works. Right? Because you don't have to believe us, people, but you're never going to know. Right? If you don't try it out for yourself. Don't take our fucking word for it. You know what I mean? We're just a bunch of people on here that are brown and spiritual as fuck, giving you guys information that what we've been through. So you don't have to take it. This is on the internet. It's not everything you hear on here is fucking true, right? But let me tell you, it's true for me.
And every one of those experiences have been opportunities that have happened for you, not to you.
Cool. For you, not to you. All right, Missy Sally, I know you got to get going pretty soon, so you want to close us out?
Yep. No, you close us out.
Oh, me close us out. Okay. I said, do you want to close us out? And you were like, yeah.
No, you close us out.
Yeah. So thank you very much for tuning in today on this amazing episode, right? If you're just tuning in now, go listen to the first questions that Missy Sella asked. They're really interesting. They're really unique questions, right? And then it'll give you a little more detail why and how we landed on gratitude as we close out, and be grateful for the situations that brought you up until this moment, and that you don't have to heal, right? You get to forgive. You get to be grateful. You don't have to be grateful. You don't have to forgive, right? Nobody's asking you to forget, but to remember in a way that's helping you out, that's helping you elevate on the emotional level, on a spiritual level, even on a physical level, right? Because we are in the physical. And let me tell you, one step at a time, one day at a time, one person at a time, one thought at a time. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to see you soon on the next episode. We don't know when, because we just show up when we want to, right? So thank you very much. Peace out, Trouts. Much love and light.
All right, so we actually do have two people viewing, and I think I figured out this.
Question
They,
shit.
they have a Q&A now on YouTube,
Oh,
and it's different than it used to be. So they actually have like this process where you have to launch the Q&A, and then people can comment. So you're actually interacting with people intentionally.
oh
There's a
shit.
whole link now. When we were live, well, we are still live, but when we were doing the recording, that I opened up, and so there's a whole way. It's called like moderating live chat, and their whole process now. So if there are people watching right now. If you have anything before we log off that you want to share, or that if you're just there, tell us you're there, so that we know that we are doing this Q&A. See, you just put something,
Yeah, I typed
and
in there, but I can't
as
see where it
Mark.
popped up.
See, you're as Mark as opposed to Brown and Spiritual. So now I see it
Oh, why can't I see it though?
because you're not logged into our Brown and Spiritual.
Oh, that makes
Not logged
sense.
in. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd have to log in as Brown and Spiritual AF in order to see
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Because I
And
did type in the okay. It's weird. That's weird that they did it this way.
yeah.
I can see why, but when there's okay, yeah.
And so, but you can comment, right?
Yeah, I did. I comment down here. I said if y'all have any questions, feel free to engage. Right. But that was in the public one down below. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on here. So we got another thing. Once again, people, another way we have to figure things out to get you guys the right information to allow you to engage with us. Just another hurdle that we had to learn to jump over. And we're going to get it. We're going to get it.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. Thank you all for joining us. We're super excited that you spent a little bit of your Sunday with us.
Yes.